Hey everyone, so today we're going to do a camera battle. We're going to take the Canon R5 C and pair it against
Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K full frame.
Today, New York is graced with the presence from our UK videographer, Jakub.
Crikey, I'm in New York.
That's going to be great to just punch in on that.
Sorry.
So I can probably speak for both of us when I say these cameras are new for each of us.
I must admit, I've always dreamed of owning a Blackmagic Cinema Camera. But whenever it actually got to the point where I was about to buy a camera, I always went for something more universal, like a Canon or a Sony. And Blackmagic cameras are a little bit like a high-quality, hi-fi stereo system. They do like less things, but they do it perfectly well. And this cinema camera has a full-frame sensor with dual native ISO. It can shoot in 6K RAW, open gate even for anamorphic or for this beautiful 4:3 aspect ratio. So it has a lot of cinematic features, which won't work for like wedding or event photography, but they will work perfectly for cinematic work.
I chose the Canon R5 C because I recently did a video on the Canon C70 and I mentioned the R5 C as a potential competitor. It's a little cheaper than the C70 and it has a full frame sensor, which is really exciting. I shoot mainly with the Sony FX3. I really like Sony full frame cameras, so the R5 C was appealing to me for that reason particularly. But also it has all these other incredible features. It has internal 8K recording, it has internal RAW recording, some high frame rate options, a lot of flexible codecs and video formats you can choose from. But I'm really excited to see how this Canon hybrid full frame camera just performs in general and also performs against your Blackmagic full frame camera. We're gonna do our tests mainly out and about. So first, why don't we get you a slice of pizza?
I'm up for it.
Okay, you see it. Let's get the out of here. I'll say one big difference about the R5 C versus the Blackmagic that you have there is your camera only shoots in RAW, whereas mine, the R5 C, has a few different options. Yeah, you can shoot in RAW, but you can also shoot in XAVC. You can choose between RAW LT and RAW ST.
Is this already the part where I go on how great the Blackmagic RAW codec on this one is and how flexible? Although those cameras are very different pieces of gear, there are a few similarities between them. They both have a full frame sensor. They both can shoot internal RAW. They both can achieve resolutions higher than 4K, 6K and 8K on yours. And they don't have built-in ND filters, which is a sad thing.
Let's talk about sensor and resolution and kind of do an overview on general image quality and what you can expect from both of these cameras.
The Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, as the name implies, films in 6K. This is the highest resolution on this camera, but there are different flavors of 6K. It can be 6K open gate, so using the whole surface of the sensor. There is 6K anamorphic, there is 6K DCI. It shoots also 4K, HD, So lots of different flavors, but it always crops in as you reduce the resolution. So your 6K frame will be the widest one, but if you change it to 4K, you will go more towards like Super 35 regions.
And also the same thing happens with slow motion. There is a crop, and in HD 120p width, which is the highest frame rate, it crops very heavily.
In terms of frame rate, it can shoot 36 frames per second in its highest setting, so the 6K open gate, but in 6K DCI it can go up to 60 frames per second, and you can reach 120 frames per second in Full HD, and it's all in RAW. Blackmagic RAW codec is just amazing. First of all, there are so many different settings to adjust it to your taste. It can be really high bitrate. You can lower slightly the resolution to save up on space. You can even change between constant quality or constant bitrate, depending on what do you prefer.
When it comes to sensor and resolution with the Canon R5 C, the big takeaway is that 8K resolution capability. You can shoot 8K in RAW, you can shoot 8K in MP4. You can achieve a whole lot of different resolutions when you switch to other formats. I'd be really interested to see how some of those alternatives to RAW, like XAVC and MP4, compare next to the Blackmagic's RAW footage. The full frame sensor is really working for you here. Yeah, as you switch from 8K to 4K, you're gonna see some cropping in there. You're gonna see your frame sort of shrink a little bit as you switch these resolutions, but it's definitely not as extreme as what we saw on the Blackmagic.
I drop bombs, yeah, subatomically.
I want to take a quick second to talk about picture profiles. So regardless if I'm shooting in RAW, XAVC, MP4, I'm sticking with shooting in Canon C-Log3 for color grading in post. And the Canon R5 C also comes with this really cool view assist feature where I can toggle a LUT or a look.
It's a similar case with Blackmagic, that you can preview the footage with like a LUT applied. But what are you actually recording is always RAW, so we can always adjust it in post.
So both of these cameras have really competitive dynamic range. I know the Canon R5 C has 14 stops of dynamic range.
And this is listed as 13 stops of dynamic range. We did a test in Washington Park when we underexposed the scene by, I think, like 3 stops or something like that. And as far as I know, Blackmagic camera is really great if you want to lift the shadows, whether to fix an underexposed scene or to achieve a certain look.
Now, there are some features that the Canon R5 C has because it is a hybrid camera that Jakub's Blackmagic camera does not have. Those features include a really intelligent autofocus system, internal image stabilization, and it also has just really great still image capabilities. And I took some images, some quick images in the park, and I thought these images were pretty great. What I will say about the image stabilization is you are going to see a little bit of a crop when you turn on digital IS, and if you switch from standard IS to high IS, you're going to see even more of a crop. So that's important to think about. I think I'll also say something about image stabilization with the R5 C. You can't use digital image stabilization when you're shooting in RAW. You can't do it. It doesn't allow you to activate image stabilization when you're shooting in RAW with the Canon R5 C. So it's really handy to have a lens like this one I use, the 24-70 RF, which has stabilization, which I would toggle when shooting in RAW. Because for this whole shoot, pretty much, we were doing a lot of handheld stuff, so that was definitely necessary.
This is the part where Blackmagic camera falls short a bit because it doesn't have IBIS, it doesn't even have digital stabilization. So when you're filming with it without stabilized lens, you will see quite a lot of micro jitters. I can see that you can deal with it either by treating it as a cinema camera, so always using some kind of support, tripod, gimbal, Steadicam, shoulder rig, this kind of stuff, which will reduce those micro jitters. or you can always use a stabilized lens. It has a dedicated stills button and you can't take photos with it. But I don't think it's actually usable because first of all, you can't preview stills image on the screen. And also it saves it in the B-roll footage. So you still require like a Blackmagic, the DaVinci Resolve software to actually open up those images. It's not a very convenient way to deal with them.
There is an anamorphic correction option. It may not be as primed for anamorphic shooting as a camera like the Blackmagic, but they are considering that.
So this camera has something that Canon R5 C doesn't have, and it's the optical low pass filter. It's a filter that's put in front of the sensor, and I don't know how it works. It's some kind of optical magic. But what it does, it reduces moire, it reduces aliasing, so it softens those little micro details, which should give you more like pleasing, a little bit softer cinematic image without artifacts.
The Canon R5 C does not have that.
Oh, they're red together.
The stairs are awkwardly wide, so it's hard to... When it comes to shooting in low light, both cameras have dual base ISO. For the Canon R5 C, I have a low base of 800 and a high base of 3200, which, isn't world-ending. It isn't like super impressive, but pretty standard. But I will say it has a higher low base ISO than the Blackmagic camera you have, which has a low base ISO of 400 versus my 800.
The second base ISO is 3200. What I noticed while filming, the difference wasn't that massive.
So when it comes to ergonomics and general handling, the R5C I thought was actually pretty great. I didn't have any complaints. It's a little bit of a chunky boy. It's got this kind of fat ass on it back here for the fam. That's gonna probably can't say that.
Don't fan shame it.
It's a little big compared to like the Canon R5. But compared to like the Canon C70, it's really easy to use, really easy to hold for handheld shooting. There's a whole lot of other pieces that you would need to make this into a true cinema camera. But I will say for what we shot, running around the city or just here in the studio, the camera as it is, with a little ND filter, variable ND on the front of the lens, was really easy to use and shoot with. So one thing I will say that I like about this camera is the viewfinder. I do like that I can go in here, take a look at that. But this screen on the Blackmagic is very sexy.
What I really love about the design of this camera is its screen. It's just a piece of art. You can tilt it up and down. It has a 5-inch full HD screen, HDR, I think even. It's very bright. I didn't have any problems with monitoring my footage even while filming outside. It is reflective, so it may not be that great in like direct sunlight, but still the screen and the menus, which are very simple to use. It's a touch screen, but I think this camera is utterly ugly, like all of the other Blackmagic Pocket cinema cameras from the series, which doesn't really matter. And also, as it's a cinema camera, you would put a rig around it so your eyes won't go sore from its looks. But it is quite comfortable to use. It's on the bigger side. I think it's much bigger than the Canon R5 C. It has 3 custom buttons to control ISO, shutter speed, white balance, inputs. It has mic input, headphone output. It has full-size HDMI, which I really liked. It has USB-C, which that is a very important thing. It can be used not only to power the camera, but also you can record directly to an SSD, and also CF Express Type B cards.
I'll say for the Canon R5C, it doesn't have a mini XLR port, from what I can see, but it does have a mic input, a mic jack input, headphone input. I wish that it had a full HDMI, not great, but similar to the Blackmagic, it takes the same memory card if you want to shoot in RAW, which is the CF Express Type B memory cards. You need that for the Canon R5 C if you want to shoot in RAW, but it also has an SD card input, so you can record in other formats or shoot your photos to your SD card if you want to. You can also record RAW to an external recorder. So just some final thoughts about these cameras. For me personally, I'm sorry, Jakub, but if I had to choose between the two, I would still stick with the Canon R5 C. It has everything that I need for the kind of work that I do. It has that full frame sensor, which right off the bat is really attractive to me. It has internal image stabilization, autofocus, and normally I would say that 8K is a little bit of overkill. I rarely shoot, above 4K for any project that I'm working on. But the fact that it just has that, and it has that internal RAW recording, is just really exciting. So I was really impressed with this camera. Way to go, Canon, and I definitely recommend it.
I must say, I really liked using Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K as well. Even though it doesn't have all those bells and whistles that your small Canon R5 C has, I would say it's a great camera. It has beautiful image quality. Its codec, it's a pleasure to work with. It's very flexible. It works well. The picture quality is just amazing. It is for short films, for music videos, for sets where you can control the environment, the lighting, for narrative work. So I would say buy Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K to manifest your dream of becoming a cinematographer. Or if you're already a cinematographer, you want upgrade from the Blackmagic Pockets 4K or a hybrid camera.
But we'd really love to hear what you think. What do you think of the Canon R5 C versus Jakub's Blackmagic 6K cinema camera here?
Thank you for watching and see you next time.